What happens when a night of joy and celebration turns into a lifelong nightmare? This is the chilling tale of Iwona Wieczorek's disappearance. In the summer of 2010, Iwona Wieczorek was just a typical 19-year-old girl living in Poland. Full of dreams and aspirations, she had just finished her classes and was eagerly awaiting the results of her university admission. She had plans, she had a future. She even had a reward trip to Spain in mind, a treat for all the hard work she had put into her studies. But as fate would have it, all these dreams and plans were cut short one fateful summer night. On Friday, July 16, 2010, Iwona and her friend Adria decided to attend a party near where they lived. It was supposed to be a fun-filled night, a chance to let loose and enjoy their youth. They were joined by 3 boys, Paweł, Adrian, and Marek, acquaintances of Adria. As the night progressed, the boys suggested they move the party to a popular bar in Poland. But as often happens when alcohol mixes with youthful exuberance, a disagreement ensued. Iwona, who had been drinking and was upset with the argument, decided to leave the bar alone. It was a decision that would change everything. She was last seen on security cameras at 3:15 in the morning, walking shoeless in the direction of the promenade, presumably trying to get home. And then, like a candle snuffed out by a sudden gust of wind, she disappeared. Little did Iwona know as she angrily left the bar that this night would be her last known appearance. The hours following Iwona's exit from the bar are shrouded in mystery and unanswered questions. As the night deepened, Iwona found herself alone, navigating the streets of Poland. The staccato rhythm of her footsteps echoed through the silent city, a lonely symphony captured by security cameras. The footage showed Iwona walking alone, her shoes in her hand, a clear testament to the night's earlier festivities. In the backdrop of this solitude, a flurry of text messages and phone calls were exchanged between Iwona and her friend Adria. The details of these conversations cast a poignant light on Iwona's state of mind. Her texts were a mix of frustration and hope, a plea for companionship in the cold, unwelcoming streets. She told Adria about her dwindling phone battery, a ticking clock that added urgency to her messages. As the night wore on, Iwona made the decision to stay at Adria's place. It was a choice born out of necessity, a safe haven in a situation that was quickly spiraling out of control. Adria, seemingly understanding the gravity of the situation, agreed. She promised to leave the keys hidden outside, a beacon of safety for a friend in need. But as the night gave way to the early hours of the morning, the correspondence between Iwona and Adria came to an abrupt halt. Iwona's phone, now a silent testament to the night's events, had finally succumbed to the draining battery. The final piece of this puzzling narrative is a text message sent to Iwona's mother at 4:12 a.m. A message filled with reassurance and promises of safety, a fleeting moment of peace in a night filled with uncertainty. It was the last digital footprint of Iwona's presence, a haunting reminder of her sudden and unexplained disappearance. The last text sent to her mother at 4:12 a.m. was the final trace of Iwona. When dawn broke, it brought with it a chilling silence. Iwona was nowhere to be found. As the sun's first rays pierced the morning mist, the reality of the situation began to sink in. Adria, waking up to an empty house, was puzzled to find the keys still hidden outside, untouched. The bed she had offered Iwona remained unslept in, the silence in the house echoing the unsettling absence of her friend. Hours stretched into a tense afternoon, the clock ticking away in a rhythm that seemed to echo the growing fear in Adria's heart. Her worry turned into panic when she received a call from Iwona's mother. The hopeful assumption that Iwona had simply decided to go home was shattered. Iwona's mother had been under the impression that her daughter was safe at Adria's house. The realization that no one knew where Iwona was hit like a cold wave. Panic turned into action. Iwona's mother, her voice trembling with fear and worry, dialed the number that no parent ever wants to call, the police. She reported her daughter's mysterious disappearance, hoping against hope that the authorities would be able to locate her. But the response was not what she expected. The police brushed off her concerns initially, suggesting that Iwona was probably sleeping off the party at another friend's house, or perhaps was still out enjoying the night. Their lackadaisical attitude towards the situation was a stark contrast to the growing dread felt by Iwona's loved ones. As the hours turned into a full day, the police's failure to act immediately hung heavy in the air. The delay in the investigation, the dismissive attitude, and the precious time wasted would later come to haunt everyone involved in the case. The police, however, failed to act immediately, a delay that would later prove costly. A week of agonizing uncertainty passed before the police finally took Iwona's disappearance seriously. It was a week filled with sleepless nights, unanswered questions, and a growing sense of dread for Iwona's family and friends. The realization that Iwona was not just sleeping off a night of partying or staying with friends hit hard. The world, as they knew it, had shifted on its axis, and the light that was Iwona seemed to be fading into an abyss of the unknown. The investigation into Iwona's disappearance started off with an air of desperation. Each tick of the clock was a stark reminder of the precious time that was slipping away. Iwona's family and friends were caught in a whirlwind of fear, regret, and helplessness. They clung to each other, their combined strength, the only thing keeping them afloat in the sea of uncertainty. As the news of Iwona's disappearance broke, it sent shockwaves through the community. The media picked up the story, and the spotlight was now firmly focused on the case. Iwona's smiling face was on every news channel, her name on everyone's lips, her story echoing in every household. Yet, with every passing moment, the hope of finding Iwona seemed to be dwindling. In the midst of this grim scenario, something extraordinary happened. The community rallied together in an unprecedented show of solidarity. Hundreds of volunteers joined the search for Iwona, braving the elements, combing through every nook and cranny, leaving no stone unturned. Their determination was an embodiment of the collective will to bring Iwona home. Leading the investigation was Detective Christopher Kowski. An experienced investigator, Kowski was known for his methodical approach and unwavering resolve. His reassuring presence was a beacon of hope in the heart-wrenching ordeal. His words echoed the sentiments of everyone involved in the search for Iwona. "We are not willing to give up. We will find Iwona." Christopher Kowski, the detective in charge, asserted that they would not give up on finding Iwona. His words, filled with resolve and determination, resonated with everyone, reaffirming their commitment to find Iwona and bring her home. The search for Iwona was extensive and tireless, yet it yielded no answers. The case had gained a considerable amount of media attention, and it sparked a wave of support from the public. Hundreds of volunteers rallied together, their hearts filled with determination to find Iwona. They combed through every corner of the city, leaving no stone unturned in the desperate search for the missing 19-year-old. The police, led by Detective Christopher Kowski, worked day and night, chasing every potential lead. They thoroughly checked the route that Iwona was known to have taken that fateful night, scrutinizing every piece of CCTV footage available. But it was like trying to find a needle in a haystack. The lack of any significant leads only added to the growing frustration and worry. Despite the exhaustive efforts, Iwona remained missing. The trail had gone cold, and the mystery of her disappearance deepened. The lack of progress was disheartening for everyone involved. The feeling of helplessness was palpable, and the sense of urgency was escalating with each passing day. As investigators delved deeper into the case, they faced a wall of unanswered questions. Where could Iwona have gone? Was she safe? Was there a chance she'd left of her own accord, or was there a more sinister explanation? The more they looked, the less they seemed to know. The search for Iwona was not just a mission to find a missing person. It was a race against time. Every moment that passed without any news of her whereabouts increased the likelihood of a tragic outcome. The investigators, volunteers, and most importantly, Iwona's family, clung on to the hope that she would be found safe and sound. But as the days turned into weeks and weeks into months, hope began to fade. The reality of Iwona's prolonged absence started to sink in. The search for Iwona was turning into a haunting tale of a young woman who vanished without a trace, leaving behind a trail of questions and a desperate plea for answers. 12 long years passed before a glimmer of hope appeared in Iwona's case. In the seemingly endless sea of unanswered questions, a wave of revelation surged. a name from the past, one of Iwona's so-called friends from that fateful night, was suddenly thrust into the harsh glare of the investigation. This was someone who had shared laughter and drinks with Iwona, someone who had been part of the argument that led to her stormy exit from the bar. Now, this individual was under arrest, a potential key to unlocking the mystery of Iwona's disappearance. This development sent shockwaves through the case, bringing with it a renewed flurry of activity and speculation. The arrest provided a tangible lead, a thread to pull at in the hope of unraveling the truth. What was this friend's role in Iwona's disappearance? Was there a sinister undertone to the camaraderie of that night? Could this person hold the answers that Iwona's family, friends, and the countless volunteers had been desperately searching for over the years? While the arrest brought a sense of momentum to the investigation, it also underscored the complexity and intrigue of the case. The suspect was someone who had been present during Iwona's last known moments, someone who had been part of her life. The implications were chilling. If this friend was involved, what did it say about the circumstances surrounding Iwona's disappearance? Was her decision to leave the bar alone more than just a result of a petty argument? This break in the case rekindled hope that had been flickering in the face of the relentless passage of time. It was a stark reminder that even the most cold of cases can suddenly heat up, that the pursuit of justice never stops, and that the truth, no matter how elusive, is always worth fighting for. Yet, even this break in the case leaves us with more questions than answers. Despite the recent developments, the mystery of Iwona Wieczorek's disappearance remains largely unsolved. The young woman had been out with friends, had left a party upset, and was last seen walking alone on a boulevard. She never made it home or to her friend Adria's house, where she intended to stay for the night. The keys left for her were found untouched the next morning, and Iwona was nowhere to be found. Despite the passage of 12 years and the arrest of one of her friends, the questions around Iwona's disappearance continue to swirl. The investigation into Iwona's disappearance was marked by delay and frustration. It was a week before the police began to probe into the matter, a delay that may have cost precious time in the search for the young woman. The case garnered significant media attention, and hundreds of volunteers joined in the search, but the whereabouts of Iwona remained a mystery. Theories about what happened to Iwona abound. Did she meet with foul play on her way home? Did she decide to run away and start a new life? Or did she simply get lost, succumbing to the elements? The truth remains elusive, and the investigation is ongoing. The arrest of one of her friends 12 years later has added a new dimension to the case. What role, if any, did this person play in Iwona's disappearance? The answer to this question might hold the key to unraveling the mystery. The case of Iwona Wieczorek is a chilling reminder of the uncertainty and fragility of life. A young woman vanishes without a trace, leaving behind a trail of unanswered questions and a family yearning for closure. The investigation continues in the hope that one day the mystery will be solved and justice will be served. As we continue to seek answers, the haunting mystery of Iwona Wieczorek's disappearance serves as a chilling reminder of the fragility of life.